After the dual differentiation of alpha, my childhood friend transformed into Enigma. He reached out to tug at my collar, his voice husky. "Ayi, your pheromones are delightfully sweet." Unable to bear witnessing my brother's torment, I endured the humiliation and offered him solace as a result. I later found myself clutching the nape of my neck, nearly grinding my teeth to dust. "Pei Jing, wasn't it agreed that you would only mark me once?" Yet he gently grasped my hand and whispered enticingly, "Be good. This truly is the last time." I leapt into the air, the basketball carving a graceful arc before plunging into the hoop with precision. As the ball struck the floor, the crowd erupted into applause and cheers. "What a splendid three-pointer. Ji Xiao is incredible." During the break, my good friend Lu Kai wore a mischievous grin. "Ji Yi, you've been outsmarted by that kid again. The omegas up there are nearly hoarse from shouting." I remained non-committal, casually brushing the sweat-drenched hair from my forehead. The color was a newly dyed haze blue, audacious enough for my taste, and I felt quite pleased. Fingering the black earring on my ear, I humbly remarked, "Is that so? As a top-tier alpha standing at 6 feet tall with abs, I think it's rather acceptable." The damp jersey clung uncomfortably to my skin. Just as I contemplated removing it, a large hand, with distinct knuckles, gently pressed against the back of my hand. "Ji Yi, don't change clothes here." The voice behind me was deep and resonant, tinged with a hint of exasperation. I raised an eyebrow, turning to wrap my arms around the newcomer. "Pei Jing, what brings you here?" Whispers and gasps erupted from the adjacent stands, with someone softly exclaiming Chairman Pei. Pei Jing allowed my playful antics, the usually stern expression on his face softening slightly. He raised a hand to tousle my blue hair. "I just finished a meeting and rushed over." Pei Jing, my childhood companion of 18 years. The Ji and Pei families have been close for generations. We grew up together, and I have always followed him around calling him brother. Pei Jing truly embodies that role. He is composed and exceptional, while I often find myself in trouble, were it not for his guidance. I doubt I would have made it into such a prestigious institution as H University. Now, he is the busy chairman of the student council. While I blissfully bide my time on the basketball team, I felt it was necessary to give face to my childhood friend. So I pulled Pei Jing toward the changing room. However, something felt amiss. The moment our skin touched, I sensed that his body temperature was unusually high today. The locker room was devoid of any presence. As soon as I stepped inside, I raised my hand and peeled off my jersey. A fleeting glance at the mirror across the way confirmed it. My physique remained as impressive as ever. Long legs, a narrow waist, defined abs, and that coveted V-line, all intact. With my blue hair and ear studs, could it be too extravagant to step into the limelight? Turning around, however, I noticed Pei Jing averting his gaze, his expression inscrutable. "Is the chairman feeling shy?" I teased, inching closer and pinning him against the wall. He towered over me, and to maintain my assertiveness, I had to rise onto my toes. "All right, I know you have an 8-pack, 2 more than I do," I quipped. Without thinking, my hand wandered under Pei Jing's shirt, brushing against his abdomen, eager to explore. A flicker of panic crossed his eyes as he seized my wrist, his tone laced with warning. "Gee, don't mess around." The more he resisted, the more exhilarated I became, rubbing against him like an eager puppy. What's the harm in a little touch? Before I could process it, my wrist was firmly captured, pinned against the wall. Pei Jing was surprisingly strong, and I found myself unable to break free. "Ayi, control your pheromones," he urged, a hint of frustration in his voice, his warm breath brushing against the nape of my neck. It dawned on me then that the air was thick with a rich iris scent. Perhaps the excitement from the game had released his pheromones inadvertently. I attempted to push Pei Jing away to grab a suppressor patch, but something felt off. His body temperature was alarmingly high, and his breathing was heavy. I inhaled the air around us, noting the blend of my floral aroma with his crisp fur scent. "Have you entered your sensitive period?" I asked, belatedly realizing the situation. The figure behind me remained silent. Pei Jing's voice was hoarse. "Your pheromones are so sweet. I want to take a bite." What was he doing? A shiver ran down my spine, and I began to struggle fiercely. "Pei Jing, let me get you a suppressor. Loosen your grip." Yet, before I could finish, a sharp pain shot through my neck. It was Pei Jing. He had sunk his teeth into my flesh. His pheromones surged violently within me, and I stared in disbelief, my vision fading to black. When I regained consciousness, the acrid scent of disinfectant filled my nostrils. It took me a moment to realize I was lying in the school infirmary. My neck throbbed painfully, and as memories flooded back, I recalled the shocking incident. An iron-willed individual had been forcefully restrained and bitten on the neck. The assailant was none other than my childhood companion. My gaze quickly fell upon the culprit beside me, and I seized his collar, gritting my teeth. Pei Jing, were you truly that hungry to dare mark me? Just then, a doctor clad in a white coat entered with a creak of the door. He held a medical report, glancing at Pei Jing and me with a smile. Young man, I advise you to refrain from provoking your friend further. You never know when he might bite again. Your friend is now classified as a rare type. I was taken aback, questioning my hearing. The legendary fourth gender that can even mark alphas? The doctor nodded. Certain high-level individuals may have a minuscule chance of undergoing a secondary differentiation into this category after reaching adulthood. Your friend is currently in the differentiation phase, and due to the high compatibility of your pheromones, he lost control and marked you. As for you, fret not. The intensity of his pheromones is considerable, and fainting after being marked is a normal response. The doctor gestured at Pei Jing with approval. Your boyfriend, no, your friend, has exhibited remarkable self-control by not proceeding further and instead brought you to the infirmary. Had it not been for the pheromone levels triggering the school-wide alarm system, we might not have detected his anomaly. How is his health? Does the differentiation affect him? I was more concerned about Pei Jing's well-being. The doctor stroked his chin, looking troubled. The issue lies in the fact that conventional suppressants are not very effective against this type. If the differentiation phase cannot be managed promptly, it will undoubtedly harm his body. Given your high compatibility, my suggestion is for you to assist in soothing him. How do I do that? I was somewhat perplexed. The doctor smiled knowingly. Allow him to mark you, embrace him. Any method that facilitates pheromone fusion will suffice. After all, you two are good friends. This should be manageable, right? Huh? This is what they call good friends? The school doctor patted his backside and departed, leaving me in a state of confusion. Pei Jing sat beside the infirmary bed, his expression complex, lost in thought. After a long pause, he reached out, gently tucking the blanket around me, his voice soft. Aye, does it hurt? I could see the concern and guilt in his eyes. All right, I wanted to be angry, but I just couldn't. How could I be mad at someone who had been my closest companion for over a decade? So, I patted Pei Jing's shoulder, making an effort to sound casual. It's fine, you didn't mean to. It's just a bite. I'm not that fragile. Taking a deep breath, I resolved to be forthright. I have to take responsibility for you during your differentiation period. Pei Jing, however, seized my wrist, his gaze inscrutable. Ji, soothing him is not that simple. His dry hand shifted to my nape, gently caressing the bite mark on my neck. His voice was low and gravelly. If the marking occurs too frequently, your constitution will begin to reverse. You will become dependent on me, craving my pheromones, ultimately turning into my exclusive possession, unable to part from me for a lifetime. Pei Jing's eyes were deep and penetrating, and under his intense gaze, I felt like prey caught in a trap. A chill ran down my spine, and I forced a laugh. Haha, surely it won't come to that. Then, just don't bite so much, right? Pei Jing ruffled my hair, finally allowing a hint of a smile, though his tone remained somewhat bittersweet. Aye, you truly understand nothing. The news of Pei Jing's differentiation spread rapidly throughout the campus. After class, Lu Kai eagerly approached me. No way, did Pei Jing really turn into an alpha? I lazily responded with a mm. That's incredible. Wait, why the nonchalant attitude? Did you have a spat with him? Lu Kai scrutinized my expression. You usually light up at the mere mention of Pei Jing. I felt a surge of irritation, pulling the hoodie over my head and turning to my phone. All right, enough prying into matters that don't concern you. Lu Kai was right. I indeed had quarreled with Pei Jing. It had been several days since I left the hospital, and I hadn't reached out to him. It baffled me that someone willing to set aside my pride for him to mark me, was met with a dismissive "you don't understand anything." What was there to not understand? Was he unwilling to accept the comfort of his childhood friend, preferring instead to endure on his own? Did he long for the tender embrace of someone else? The more I pondered, the angrier I became, my pheromones stirring restlessly within me, nearly spiraling out of control. Frowning, I stood up, intending to leave my seat to retrieve a suppressor patch, only to be blocked by a bespectacled, slender individual. What's this? Not hanging out with that monster today? I recognized him, Zhang Hao, the candidate who lost to Pei Jing during the student council president election. His tone was dripping with sarcasm, grating on my nerves. Who are you calling a monster? I frowned. Of course, Pei Jing, Zhang Hao replied with a mocking tone. Even you can label it. How disgusting. Such a thing is nothing but a monster. My expression darkened instantly as I stepped forward and seized his collar. Dare to say that again? Monster. Zhang Hao stood his ground, continuing his tirade. Pei Jing is nothing but a freak. He couldn't finish his sentence, for I had raised my fist and struck him squarely in the face. Zhang Hao cried out in agony, clutching his shattered glasses, but I remained indifferent. My pheromones surged uncontrollably, and reason shattered. Lu Kai and the others were powerless to restrain me. Like a madman, I pinned Zhang Hao to the ground, unleashing blow after blow. It was only when the crowd parted that I was forcefully enveloped in a warm embrace. I'm here. Sure, it's all right, it's all right. The familiar scent of cedar enveloped me like velvet, and I felt utterly drained in that person's tight hold. Pei Jing locked the door to the infirmary without uttering a word, taking a cotton swab and disinfectant to treat the wounds on my hands. I had likely been cut by the shards of Zhang Hao's glasses. The gash looked quite frightening. I lowered my head, unable to meet his gaze, knowing full well that Pei Jing must be furious. Ever since childhood, whenever I got into a fight and came back bruised, his expression would turn icy enough to frost over. Why did you fight? Pei Jing finally spoke, his tone devoid of inflection. I turned my head, unwilling to answer. He grasped my chin, applying gentle pressure to force me to meet his gaze. Ji speak. His brow furrowed, his eyes resembling a deep lake obscured from sight. I felt a surge of frustration. It was always like this. Whether it was comforting me or defending against slander, it seemed I was the only one who truly cared. An unnamed fury swelled within me, and I forcefully pushed his hand away. If he hadn't called you a monster, would I have reacted like this? I fight when I want to. It's none of your business. Anyway, it's you who said I don't understand anything. My chest heaved violently as I realized I was losing control again. Embarrassed, I reached out to push him away, only to be caught in an embrace. Pei Jing wrapped his arms around my waist, resting his head on my shoulder. This was how he used to comfort me when I was upset as a child. Fine. Once he held me, my anger dissipated. His voice was soft yet inexplicably tinged with sorrow. Please don't always defend me. I don't want to be trapped in this delusion anymore. It's truly painful. Delusion. What delusion? I allowed him to hold me, feeling somewhat bewildered. His arms tightened around my waist, and I sensed a tremor in his voice. What am I to you? This piqued my interest, and I began to count on my fingers. A lot. You're my good brother, my family. Before I could finish counting, Pei Jing interrupted. He lifted his head, a self-deprecating smile on his face. Gee, I regret it. Huh? I was taken aback. Pei Jing tugged at my collar, his voice a bit hoarse. I said, I regret it. Your pheromones are too sweet. I want to take a bite. A tumult of emotions swirled in his eyes, leaving me perplexed. An inexplicable fear gripped me, and I wanted to flee. But then I remembered that it had been several days since he first marked me. Without a suitable suppressant during this differentiation period, Pei Jing must have been suffering immensely these past few days. Pei Jing remained quietly waiting for my response. All right. I was soft-hearted and couldn't bear to see my brother in pain. I could only grit my teeth and pull down my collar. Fine, just be gentle. When Pei Jing pinned me against the wall, I felt a twinge of hesitation. The scent of fur enveloped me like an impenetrable web, suffocating. Oddly, my heart raced, and my cheeks flushed. Was it because of the high compatibility of our pheromones? I was lost in my thoughts when Pei Jing seemed dissatisfied. He gently tugged at my collar, his voice heavy. Focus. The suppressor patch on my nape was torn away, and the scent of iris blossomed, intertwining with the fur. A wave of panic washed over me, and I couldn't help but urge him. Pei Jing, hurry. Before I could finish, a sharp chill coursed through my nape. Tears sprang forth instantly. Damn. This hurt more than the first marking. Instinctively, I tried to struggle, but Pei Jing held me firmly in place, leaving me immobile. The fur scent assaulted me mercilessly. In a daze, I felt as if I were drowning in an unfathomable fir forest. I lost track of time, and the prolonged marking finally came to an end. My vision blurred, and my legs weakened, ready to collapse. Pei Jing was quick to catch me, his arms tightly encircling me as he leaned down, whispering in my ear with a chuckle. Is your waist this soft too? In the school restroom, I turned on the faucet and splashed cold water onto my face. Damn. It did little to cool the heat radiating from my skin. A glance in the mirror revealed my face and neck flushed an abnormal crimson. I dared not look any longer, inwardly cursing Pei Jing. So, he bit me and then uttered vague remarks? Your waist is the only one that's soft. Your whole family is soft. He always appeared reserved and aloof, but it was all a facade. What the hell? Did you fight with Pei Jing? A sudden voice from behind startled me. Turning around, I found Lu Kai staring at me, his eyes wide as saucers. Why are you covered in Pei Jing's scent? And what with the bite mark on your neck? He lamented, embracing me in despair. After you were taken away by President Pei, I searched for you everywhere. Ji, my brother is late to the fight. Why is Pei biting people indiscriminately? I quickly covered his mouth. Please, keep it down. No fight, no fight. We made up. Lu Kai wore an expression of I knew it. He disdainfully remarked, I told you to argue like a couple. You always make up within 3 days. Feeling guilty, I pulled my collar up to conceal the ambiguous mark. Lu Kai, oblivious, continued undeterred, pulling out his phone to send me a group chat message. High school reunion tomorrow night, at the same place as before. Are you going? Before I could reply, he flashed a mysterious smile. I heard Ruan Ning will be there too. I was momentarily stunned. Ruan Ning, the one I had a crush on during high school. Back then, during our adolescent years, as we had just differentiated, everyone was curious about the opposite sex, and I was no exception. Ruan Ning was my desk mate, and I instinctively found his pheromone scent delightful. Over time, a vague affection blossomed, so I confessed to him. Initially, he blushed and agreed. I was ecstatic and rushed home to share the good news with Pei Jing. He was silent for a long time before gently ruffling my hair, his eyes reflecting an emotion I couldn't decipher. He said, that's wonderful, However, the next day, Ruan Ning approached me with a pale face. Ji Yi, we aren't suited for each other. Let us just forget it. Thus, my first love abruptly came to an end. I found Pei Jing with a dejected expression, and he rarely allowed me to get completely drunk. I clung to him, sobbing uncontrollably. From that moment on, I resolved to never fall in love. The wisdom of sages advises against it. Brotherhood is far more delightful, and I would rather not engage in the frivolities of romance. I sent a message to Pei Jing, inquiring whether he would attend the class reunion. After a moment's hesitation, I added a few more lines. I heard Ruan Ning will be there, which is rather awkward. The little dog is going crazy. Although Pei Jing had once been our class monitor, I did not expect him to agree to join. He was busy with work and studies, and he preferred tranquility over the clamor of gatherings. To my surprise, Pei Jing called me almost immediately. His deep, melodious voice resonated through the phone, reminiscent of a gentle breeze rustling through a cedar forest. Wait for me. I will accompany you. When Pei Jing and I arrived at the entrance to the private room, all eyes turned towards us. The girls visibly perked up. Not spotting Ruan Ning at first, I felt a sense of relief. Lu Kai was already lounging on the sofa, drinking and boisterously declared, see? I told you, as long as Ji Yi shows up, the monitor will definitely follow. Are you all satisfied now? Two handsome guys. A chorus of laughter erupted, mingled with whistles. I didn't mind. Our class shared a strong bond and was accustomed to playful banter. Pei Jing sat beside me in the booth, not objecting when I ordered drinks. Typically, he forbade me from drinking, but there are exceptions like heartbreak, or a rare gathering such as this. As the drinks flowed, the atmosphere grew increasingly lively. We sang, played games, and rolled dice, reveling in the merriment. Pei Jing, however, showed no interest in participating, quietly observing me as I enjoyed myself. Perhaps due to the warmth of the room, I noticed him loosening the top button of his shirt. He reclined comfortably, resting his hand on the back of the sofa behind me, casually sipping from a beer bottle. I had to admit, my childhood friend was undeniably handsome, the kind of strikingly cold beauty that left one breathless. Just sitting there, illuminated by the light, his profile resembled a precious classical painting. Perhaps slightly tipsy, I found myself momentarily dazed. We were seated close, our thighs pressed together, his warmth seeping through the fabric, sending a steady stream of heat towards me. An inexplicable thirst arose within me. My glands began to awaken, and my head felt light, as if I were feverish. Oddly, since Pei Jing had marked me, my dependence on him had skyrocketed. Just like now, I yearned to lean in closer, to kiss him. Stop. Ji Yi, what are you thinking? I startled myself, hastily downing a large gulp of my drink, only to end up choking. Pei Jing immediately straightened up, gently patting my back to soothe me. Great. Now that he touched me, I felt even more compelled to leap into his embrace. In a panic, I excused myself to the restroom and fled as if my life depended on it. In the bathroom, I splashed cold water on my face, trying to regain my composure. Get a grip, Ji Yi. That's your brother. The water droplets soaked my hair, and just as I was becoming increasingly agitated, a familiar voice emerged from behind me. Ji Yi, long time no see. I froze. Turning around, I found Ruan Ning smiling at me, his smile sweet as ever. In the corridor, I found myself speechless before my first love, the atmosphere growing awkward. Finally, Ruan Ning broke the silence, his voice soft as always. The blue hair really suits you. It's particularly cool. Thank you, I replied, a bit shy as I ruffled my hair. Pei Jing said the same thing. However, Ruan Ning's expression soured almost instantly. He hesitated for a moment, as if summoning great resolve. Ji Yi, there was a reason I rejected you back then. I assumed he still felt guilty over past events, so I waved my hand dismissively. It's been a long time. It's all right. Ji Yi, that's not it. I liked you. Ruan Ning spoke with urgency, his words tumbling out faster. I still like you. I want to be with you, but I'm afraid. Pei Jing approached me back then. Pei Jing? What does he have to do with this? I frowned, but Ruan Ning fell silent. He moved behind me, his voice trembling. Pei Jing marked you on the nape of your neck? Oh no. I had clearly concealed it with a suppressor. Wait, how did he know it was Pei Jing? Ruan Ning suddenly grasped my arm, urgency evident in his tone. It's known that Pei Jing his pheromones are addictive. Often, you don't act of your own volition. Pei Jing can lure you with his pheromones. No, why is the conversation veering back to Pei Jing? Ruan Ning, in his agitation, began to emit pheromones that wafted around us, a scent reminiscent of peaches, which I had once adored. However, now it felt cloying and uncomfortable. My head began to spin, and my breath quickened. I craved Pei Jing's pheromones. Ruan Ning continued his tirade, further complicating my thoughts. Ji Yi, you must be careful of Pei Jing. He is dangerous, and his intentions are not pure. Do you remember when I rejected you, and you got drunk? I wanted to find you, only to see Pei Jing holding you, tugging at your collar. Ruan Ning's voice abruptly ceased, his expression turning to one of terror as he glanced over my shoulder. In my dazed state, I felt a hand resting on the nape of my neck, subtly kneading. The familiar scent of cedar enveloped me. Pei Jing's low voice resonated near my ear, tinged with a hint of coldness. Apologies, my Yi is feeling unwell. I'm taking him home. This was no ordinary sensitive period. High fever, dizziness, and the sweet scent of irises enveloped me in a frightening embrace. I could hardly comprehend how Pei Jing managed to place me in the car, nor how he carried me into his home. All I knew was that I clung desperately to his collar, my voice tinged with tears. I want your pheromones. Pei Jing looked down at me, his hand caressing the nape of my neck, the motion slow and deliberate. His expression was calm, yet intense emotions churned in his eyes. Those marked will enter a special period akin to Shu. It's all right. Just a little more of your pheromones will alleviate it. The cedar gently entwined with the iris, like a secret invitation. He gazed intently at me, his voice soft, as if coaxing a prey about to be ensnared. A kiss will grant you the pheromones. I awoke to the sound of birds chirping outside, my eyes fluttering open to find myself lying on Pei Jing's bed. Oh, it came back to me. I had felt unwell and he had brought me home. Then what had happened? It seemed I had insisted on his pheromones and shared a kiss. Wait. I shot up from the bed, suddenly wide awake with shock. Goodness, I just kissed my childhood friend. I slapped myself in disbelief. Gee, what were you thinking? How could you dare to touch your brother? Sneaking into the living room, I discovered Pei Jing was nowhere to be found. Only a note left behind. It indicated he had taken the liberty of requesting a leave for me and had gone back to school to handle some matters, promising to return home later. His absence offered me a sense of relief, yet my cheeks burned with embarrassment, leaving me uncertain on how to face him. I didn't even touch the breakfast left on the dining table, hastily pulling out my phone to seek assistance. Panic! What to do after an accidental kiss with my childhood friend? Perhaps the title was too sensational. Soon, a kind-hearted netizen messaged me privately. Detail the circumstances. How did it happen? Clinging to the lifeline, I quickly recounted the entire sequence of events. The other party remained silent for an extended period before finally responding. Are you certain this is an accident? Could it not be your childhood friend's long-conceived plan? Naturally, any rational person would opt for a comforting gesture such as a mark. A kiss is far too ambiguous. In conclusion, I sense your childhood friend harbors feelings that are not entirely innocent. What? Are they questioning the purity of my 20-year brotherly bond with Pei Jing? I could not tolerate this. I furiously typed, enumerating the countless instances over the years that defined my relationship with my childhood friend. For instance, he would patiently pick out the scallions from my ramen that I detest. He would steadfastly attend every one of my basketball games, regardless of the weather. Whenever I expressed that I missed him, he would immediately interrupt a meeting at the overseas branch and book the earliest flight back just to see me. All his passwords are my birthday, and his phone lock screen is a picture of me. For example, I could not provide more examples, as I was abruptly interrupted, and he hastily logged off. Enough! Is the online world filled with such despicable individuals? Am I merely a cog in your machine? Brother, unless you are here to boast, allow me to remind you of something. In a relationship, only the one who is favored believes it to be mere friendship. I stared at the grayed-out avatar of the user, momentarily bewildered. The favored one? It dawned on me that I had never truly examined my relationship with Pei Jing. What did Pei Jing signify to me? An overly dependent brother, a close companion with whom I spent every day, an individual I hold in the highest regard. But what did Pei Jing think of me? My heart began to race. I involuntarily recalled the events of the previous night. His deep, husky voice lingered in my ears, his warm breath intertwining with mine, as if he were about to envelop me in his embrace. I envisioned his profound gaze, beneath which lay inscrutable emotions. A vague answer stirred restlessly within me, on the verge of emerging. Enough! I felt a twinge of fear and dared not delve deeper. Could not be that complicated. A childhood friend is merely that. I must be overthinking it. I rubbed my face and looked down to see I was still clad in Pei Jing's pajamas. The size was larger than mine, and the excessively long sleeves and pant legs had been meticulously rolled up. The fabric still faintly bore the scent of fur. This crisp aroma made my cheeks flush and my heart race, inducing a growing sense of panic. No, I must quickly change into something else. This apartment was specifically purchased by Pei Jing, conveniently situated near the school, and I often came over to stay. The wardrobe held my clothes. As I rummaged through the closet, seeking out my sweatshirt, my hand brushed against a yellowing notebook. To my surprise, it was Pei Jing's diary. I could not help but raise an eyebrow. Pei Jing writes a diary? My curiosity overcame the flutter of unease within me, and I opened it without a second thought. After all, among good friends, there are no boundaries. I was merely concerned about the inner workings of my childhood friend's mind. The initial pages seemed rather ordinary. Ai lost the game today and was in a terrible mood. However, he is easily consoled. I treated him to ice cream, and his spirits lifted. He has become distant. His pheromone is that of iris, quite pleasant. Ai is always gazing at his desk mate, a certain Ruan Ning. Troubles me. I read on with great interest, turning the pages. However, as I progressed, an unsettling shift occurred. The once smooth, confident handwriting gradually devolved into a scrawl. Overstepping. Wanting to be with Ai. If you wish to remain at this school, accept this money and leave. Ai was drunk. Do I truly like him? I'm going mad, constantly biting the back of his neck. Yet I cannot mark him. You are so foolish. Do you know that every night I can barely control the urge to hide you away, to make you cry. The handwriting became erratic, the final sentence left unfinished, with ink bleeding and staining half the page. Ai, I love you to the point of madness. I nearly fled in a panic, neglecting the diary that had fallen to the ground. My mind was a whirlwind, my phone inundated with dozens of missed calls, all from Pei Jing. I knew he had sensed something was amiss. Unable to confront him, I decided to adopt a cold approach. My thoughts were a chaotic mess, and I desperately needed someone to talk to. Anyone would do. Thus, when Ruan Ning texted me asking if I wanted to meet, I agreed. Ruan Ning chose a quiet bar for our meeting. I was restless. Ruan Ning, when did you notice something was off with him? He sighed, taking a delicate sip of his drink. It was too obvious. He's such a cold person, yet his eyes always follow you. In any case, keep your distance from Pei Jing. He is not a good person. I felt discomfort at his words and replied earnestly, please do not speak of him that way. Ruan Ning set down his glass, a complex expression on his face. Given how things have progressed, why do you still defend him? To be honest, what do you truly think of Pei Jing? He stared at me intently, his probing question causing my heart to race. Ge, do you have feelings for Pei Jing? The question struck me like a thunderbolt, leaving me reeling. Thump, thump. I could hear the frantic beating of my heart. I instinctively grabbed the glass on the table, tilting it back in one gulp. The alcohol was strong, and the intoxication surged immediately. I cradled my head, feeling lost. I do not know. What was I thinking when I discovered the diary? I was afraid, but not of Pei Jing. It seemed I was afraid of something within me that was about to take root and break through the barriers of taboo. It felt as though, for a long time, I had harbored an unusual, naive feeling toward Pei Jing. It was elusive and indescribable, so I had simply buried it deep within. Now, Pei Jing had shattered that fragile barrier, forcing me to confront this vague emotion. But it felt so painful, so frightening. All I wanted was to escape. My head throbbed, and I caught the scent of ripe peaches. It was Ruan Ning, releasing his pheromones toward me. Ge, if you are uncertain, would you like to be with me? Ning leaned in closer, his voice laced with temptation. Perhaps you might enjoy the feeling of being with me more. The sweetness of the peach scent was overwhelming, making me dizzy. I do not like it, I do not like it. I missed Peijing. I longed for that sensation of being enveloped in the cedar forest. Wait, there seemed to be fur nearby. Just as Ning was about to kiss me, I jolted awake and pushed him away. Instantly, I looked up to see a familiar figure standing outside the bar. It was indeed Peijing. He gazed intently at me, a storm brewing in his dark eyes. Yet, a bitter smile curled at the corners of his mouth as he turned, disappearing into the night without a backward glance. I hastily apologized to Ning before sprinting after the direction Peijing had taken. The street was teeming with people. I struggled to weave through the crowd, yet I could not catch up to him. My heart raced with urgency. I wanted to call his name, but my throat tightened, rendering me voiceless. I could only watch helplessly as he receded further away, until he vanished into the vast sea of faces. In that moment of Peijing's disappearance, the emotions I had long suppressed burst forth. I liked him. It was indeed affection. All those vague, naive feelings became clear in an instant. I had never been so certain. I liked Peijing, but it seemed like it was too late. We might not even be able to remain friends. I stumbled away from the crowd, seeking refuge in a secluded alley. Pressing against the wall, I slowly crouched down, burying my head in my arms. My heart ached, and even my fingertips felt numb. I finally understood that the fleeting romance I shared with Ning in high school was merely child's play. True heartbreak could render one breathless. Tears cascaded down my cheeks in large droplets. Damn, how utterly embarrassing to find myself sobbing in the corner due to a heartbreak. At that moment, as Peijing crouched down and enveloped me in his arms, I was engulfed in a tempest of emotions. He sighed gently. I haven't even shed a tear, yet here you are, weeping uncontrollably. Lifting my tear-streaked face upon realizing it was Peijing, my sobs intensified. Why don't you just leave? I cried out. You don't listen when I call? So why bother with me? Peijing tenderly wiped away my tears. How could I possibly ignore a little sobbing drunk like you? What if you truly got lost? A wave of sadness washed over me, and with reddened eyes, I asked him, Peijing, can we still be friends? He tousled my hair, fatigue evident in his gaze. Loving you has consumed all my strength. Every day, I strive to restrain myself, to avoid hurting you, to keep the sordid thoughts in my diary from materializing. Because I love you, I wish for you to be forever free and joyful. But I truly don't know how much longer I can endure. Peijing smiled bitterly. So do you think we can still be friends? My heart twisted in pain, gripped by a familiar fear of impending loss. Suddenly, a distant memory surfaced. A summer evening when Peijing ruffled my hair and bid me farewell against a backdrop of a vivid sunset. In that moment, a profound sense of reluctance and confusion enveloped me. I despise goodbyes. I refuse to be a coward who merely laments missed opportunities in the years to come. Therefore, I grasped tightly at his collar. Why can't we be friends? A boyfriend is also a friend. And without a second thought, I kissed him fervently. Regret washed over me. The vulnerability was overwhelming. I shouldn't have instigated this. Peijing was on the brink of madness, hiding in the corner of my bed. I clutched the back of my neck, my teeth nearly grinding in frustration. Enough! Didn't we agree to mark our territory just once? Peijing, with fervent devotion, kissed me, his voice hushed as he reassured me, Sweetheart, this truly is the last time. The revelation of my relationship with Peijing began with a photograph taken without our consent. The backdrop featured a tree-lined path beside the basketball court, where President Pei had his arm wrapped around a blue-haired figure. Sensing something amiss, his gaze fixed coldly upon the camera, sending chills down one's spine. The school forum erupted with fervor, buildings of gossip rising swiftly. Holy crap, that hair color just from the silhouette. Can it be decoded as President Pei and Ji Xiao from the basketball team? Unbelievable. The two most handsome in school, and I'm crying in the restroom. Ji Yi is notoriously wild. I'm curious how Pei God managed to win him over. Look at the possessive glint in President Pei's eyes. Someone's in for a rough night. Haha, the childhood friends faction is reveling. The post's popularity soared, and my social media was bombarded with notifications. I observed the endless stream of roses and 99 in various group chats, feeling a rush of anxiety. Still reluctant to go public? Peijing inquired, glancing down at me, as he affectionately tousled my hair. Should I contact the administrator to have the post removed? Despite his words, I knew he would never truly wish to delete it. Ever since we confirmed our relationship, he had been unusually active on social media, averaging 3 posts a day, each replete with boyfriend references, often accompanied by candid shots that unintentionally showcased a hint of my blue hair. He was ever by my side, deliberately marking me with his scent, which led to a heated confrontation during a basketball game when the opposing team accused me of flaunting our affection to disrupt their morale. To be honest, my initial reluctance to go public stemmed from a desire to avoid complications. But now that concern had dissipated. After a moment of trepidation, I decided to confess to my family as well. When my mother received the call, she was perusing a jewelry exhibition in Europe with Pei Jing's mother. Her voice was laced with confusion. Huh? We both thought you two were an item back in high school. Well, on the other end of the line, her tone escalated. Make sure you take precautions. You can get pregnant too. I was so startled that I promptly hung up. It was too late. I turned to find Pei Jing's eyes sparkling with mirth. One hand rested upon my abdomen, giving it a gentle press. He leaned in close, whispering softly in my ear. I too am curious about how many times it would take to conceive. My face burned with embarrassment, and in a fit of anger, I grabbed a pillow to throw at him. Yet we ended up rolling onto the bed together, sharing a lingering kiss. In a daze, I heard Pei Jing's hoarse voice professing his love for me, as if he were dying from it. Yes, I love you too. We shall love each other for all eternity. The end. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing and liking it for support. Until we meet again in the next story.